basically I'm just imagining that there's light coming from behind them, so it will hit on certain vital areas of the image. Hello guys, I'm Intriga and welcome back to Orange Studios. In today's tutorial, we are going to handle that beautiful fly you just saw right there. Are you ready? If you are, let's jump right into it. Alright, so I'm going to use this setting right here, which is an A4 setting, RGB, and resolution set to 300. Alright, so let's create our new document. Alright, so these are our flags. We want to now create a shape first of all. So let's turn all of this off. Remember, we are trying to create the background. Alright, so create a shape over this. And as usual, you can either go with this process of creating a shape, or you can just add a new solid layer, which is this particular one here. Alright, so let's change this color to something I've already picked. Alright, so this color code right here is what I've picked. So let's click on OK. And now let's take this back and reveal the American flag. Alright, so with this, what I'm going to do is to make this dominant. Now let's turn off the Ghana flag and add a layer mask to the American flag. So to do that, we are going to click on this icon right here. You have a layer mask applied. B to bring out the brush tool, and we are going to max out these parts of the flag. So let's do a quick job by maxing it out. Alright, so we are done with the masking. We are going to do that same thing for the Ghana flag. So we are going to apply a layer mask, sorry, not to this but to the Ghana flag, right? And then we max these sections out. Okay, so we've done quite some good job with maxing out these two objects here. So we are going to now create a light over this just to give it some life. All right, so I'll explain as we go on. So to do that, let's just create a new layer by clicking on this right here, and then we are going to use the brush to change this. First of all, let's change this. Let's call it sun first. Let's call it sun so we can identify the layer. And then we are going to change this blend mode from normal to screen. Let's increase the size of the brush. All right. Either use the square or open bracket keys to increase or reduce the size of the brush, or you can just head over here, click, and adjust the size of the brush here. All right, so now let's change the color to something like this. All right, and then let's just click. Make sure the opacity is controlled as you move on. I think it's too loud. So what I'm going to do is to reduce the opacity and brush a little bit more, reduce the size, change the color, pick something more yellow, like that. All right, and paint a little bit more. So we have something like this. All right, so this gives us a sun effect that we can use. All right, now you get to see why it is necessary to do this when we start dropping in the images and add some more light. All right, so I'm going to add this texture to the background and make it a bit more interesting. So let's take it back here. All right, we're going to change the blend mode to something of this sort. Let's see. Let's stick to this. Let's reduce the opacity. All right, and then we are going to apply some blur, motion blur. All right, so let's go for this kind of a motion. All right, I hope you can see. So let's increase the threshold like this. All right, so this is what we have here. Let's increase the opacity just a little bit. Yeah, this is fine. So now we are going to max out some portions of it like that. Well, I'm not really liking the texture we've added, so I'm going to change it and we'll get back to it. But it's the same process, so let's stick to it. So I think we are good. We are good enough. This is good enough for the background for now, right? So let's put all of this in a group. All right, so let's put this under lock so that we don't accidentally move things around. Now the next thing we're going to do is to add our images, all right, the pictures of the people who are going to be on the event. So let's just drag and drop them. Yes, so these are the images we are going to use, and a quick disclaimer, like I always say, the people I use in my flyer designs have nothing to do with the design at all. I just find their pictures interesting, and I think it could help in my tutorial. So it has nothing to do with this. This man in particular, I've never seen. I don't know him, but I like his image, and I think the picture looks good for the design. All right, and I think this should be Apostle Emmanuel. I saw it online, and this is Reverend student number. So we are going to edit these images, all right, and we'll use it for the design. So what we are first of all going to do is to try and separate this image from the background. The background is so simple, so it will be easy. All we have to do is to move over to select subject, and the software by itself will select the image. Wow, so that is done. Let's zoom in so we can have a good look. Right, so that's a good selection done right here. So all we are going to do once again now is to do Control C to copy the image, Control V to paste. So we have the image copied and pasted. That's fine. So we can delete this one because we have no need of it. We already have it copied, so let's move into it. Now let's turn all of them off. Let's select this. All right. So now let's go back into this and let me explain why we created this. All right. So let's turn this off and bring it on. See, it's too flat in there, but this kind of gives some depth. All right. And that's why we created. Doesn't have to be done in every design, but once you know what you are doing, you can go about this method. All right. So let's position him well. He's going to be kind of our main image or main focus when it comes to the pictures. Now let's add this one right here. So let's just stick to this for now. As we move on, if we have need to change, we'll do. Let's put all of this in a group. All right. And then we are going to mask out certain areas because this is too down. All right. So let's see. Let's move it up first. And don't worry about this side because we are definitely going to max it out, so it's not necessary. All right, so the brush tool, let's max this out. All right, so after maxing them out, this is what we have. All right, so like I say, it's not definitive. Once we realize we don't want it, and that's why you max out and not erase. For beginners, keep this in mind. Don't erase, max it out so you can restore. So for instance, I want to restore. I just did a quick restore. Right, Control Z to undo. To restore, you just have to toggle between the black and white. So white would restore and black would erase. All right, so let's stick to this. All right, so I've added the text. Right, so this text right here was done in Cinema 4D, but I'll add the Photoshop editable versions in the description. It might not come out the same, but it will be to give you the 3D feel you want. All right, and this text right here is Casablanca, I think. Let's try it and see. All right, so let's search for Casa. I think. Yes. So that's the name of the text that was used. So Casablanca. All right, so let's delete this and get back to the tutorial. But before then, all right, let's turn this off, and then we get to something for the meantime. Let's make sure these guys are properly positioned. All right, so let's drag it down. This should be fine. All right, this should be okay. Let's reduce the size a little. All right, there is a plugin called Topaz, all right, that you can use to edit your images, and I'll do a brief one. All right, then maybe I'll do a separate tutorial on how to use the Topaz Lab. So let's select this image like we've done. I'm going to go to filter, and I'm going to find my topaz labs here, so I'm going to use this right one here. All right, so with this, I can just, for instance, just for a quick tutorial, select something like this. All right, so let's zoom in. All right, so this is the before and after. All right, let's say this, right? So this gives you before, after. Right, so if you like this, probably you can just do some few adjustments here, hit on OK, and the effect will be applied. All right, so that's how it's done. I'm going to apply these effects on these images real quick, then we get back into it. Yes, so we have applied all the effects. Now we can bring out our text, which is this very one here. We want to align it so that we can max out some parts and restore some areas. That's why, like I mentioned, you restore, use the layer max instead of erasing. So we are going to try and fill this side. All right, let's zoom in. All right, because this dress is blue, so we want to make sure it fills into the background. So let's just do a quick one. All right, so we are restoring. All right, so this is fine. Then we want to max out certain other areas like this, right, this side, right? We don't want any portion of the dress showing for this side, so let's take this entire thing out. All right, yeah, so now let's go back. So this is what we have for now. Now with the text, all right, what we are going to do with the text is try and create some shadows beneath and shadows on top, or shadows below the text, and then shadows on top of the text but below this side. Right, when we get to it, you understand. So let's start. Let's create a new layer right here. We are going to call this shadow or text shadow. Then I'm going to use the brush to change the color to black, work on opacity. Let's take it down to, let's say, 34. Reduce the size of the brush. Then we are going to paint something below here. All right, like just like this. All right, so let's take off the text and see what we've done. So this is what we've basically done. All right, let's add the text, and you see it gives it some, makes it look like it's sitting on something at least. All right, so we can reduce the size or the opacity. Now we can also give the text a drop down shadow. So you can double click on the right side of the layer, then you click on this to give a drop down shadow. Right. Right, this is just okay. This shadow amount we added is okay. Right, so we are going to now create another shadow. Right, so let's call this shadow on guest. Yeah. Alright, so we are trying to create some shadow right here, somewhere here. Alright, so let's use the brush to do that. This is just fine. So let's take off all the shadows before, right, and after. Yeah, this is fine. So there's one more thing we are going to do, and that's going to create another new layer right here. Then we are going to use gradient. So we are going to change the gradient from this to black and white. Then we'll just drag and drop like this. Right, so Control T to bring our transform. Then we can just squeeze this, right, like so. Now let's just turn it around. Then we are going to clip marks or apply clip marks into the text like that. Undo. So let's apply the clip marks in. Alright. Now we are going to change the blend mode to multiply. Or let's see. Yes. Let's work on the either overlay or soft light. Either one works. Alright, so let's just go for soft light. Let's apply a layer max and then erase this side. Right, so we are maxing out this side because we don't want that sharp white we saw on there. Then we are going to reduce the opacity of this. So now let's see the before and after. Alright, so now it blends into the shadow. Let's even take it further down or reduce the fill. Yes, so this is okay. Now we are going to create another shadow, but this time on the text, right? Because you can't have this dark side and this side will be too bright. Right, so let's duplicate this, right, and take it right here. Right. Take it right here. Bring it down. Alright, so let's now reduce this because it's too strong. Alright, apply layer mask. Take our time to erase the shadows on the text, on the blue side of the text. So I'm going to use the magic wand to help me do that quickly. Let's do a quick selection. All right. All right, so we've done our selection. So with this now, I can erase this side. Right. So we only have this applied and not this. All right, disable. See what was happening. Now let's enable it. All right, so yes, we are done with this. Let's go back. Now I'm going to drag and drop a PNG file where we are going to now put the details in here. Before then, we want to add some few lights to this. So what we are going to do is to go back here, all right, to the background. For now, let's unlock it and then drag this. Remember this thing we created? We're going to drag it right here. Then we are going to put this back on lock and we can control this. So let's just spread it around like this, right? Basically, I'm just imagining that there's light coming from behind them, so it will hit on certain vital areas of the image. All right, so that's why I am doing what I'm doing. I like this. All right, so this is where we are for now. We're going to drop the PNG file I mentioned, where we are going to have some few inscription on there. All right, so this is it. This part of the the wooden signage or wooden sign is not really necessary where the grass is, but I'm going to keep it because I think I like the greeny stuff there. So let's just stick this behind here. All right, even behind, so some shadow is cast on there. Exactly. So let's zoom in like this. I have this, right? So on this, we are now going to put the final touches to it, which is adding the text. All right. So I'm going to add the text real quick, then we'll get to the finishing touch. All right, so we've added the text to it, and the reason why I usually skip this process of adding the text and to it is because I feel it's the easiest part. You can just take a look and then replicate that. All right, so we'll skip that process. Now we are going to add some few final touches to it, which is creating some effects. All right, so we're going to use the shape tool to create this, and I'm going to use a black background like this. Change the blend mode to soft light like that. The reason being, so let's zoom in. All right, realize that the shadows are kind of really overly emphasized. So once we reduce the fill, all right, and the opacity, it becomes easy on the eye like that. So let's see before and after. Let me add a little bit more to the fill. All right, so before and after, just take a close look. Right, let's say an area like this, before and after, so you can tell there's something happening there. So let's just duplicate this. Right, now we are going to change this blend mode, this color first of all, to something yellow, because we want to have the highlight stand out, and there's a sunny kind of design, so a yellow stuff would make sense. We're changing this to overlay. All right, so let's see before and after, right, to kind of give it a uniform touch. Then we are going to add one last thing, which is brightness and contrast. So we are going to push the brightness up a bit. 16 is fine. It's a rainy evening right here, so if you can hear that, pardon me. Then we push the contrast up like by 5. Now let's see the before and after. So let's put all of this in a group, right? See the before and after. Before, after. Alright, so let's call this FX, which is like effects. Alright, so what else can we add to it? What else can we add to it? Alright, I'm not really enjoying this right here. So tell me what you think, alright? Tell me what you think. Should we go for a text like this, blue, right? Or we should go for the white with the drop down shadow? I honestly think the blue works better, but tell me what you think in the comment section. I think the blue has a better contrast, right? But the white is kind of subtle, so I am gearing towards the white, but the blue makes much better sense. Alright, so if you watched till this point, then there is good news. You have the password to the file. Can we have some drum rolls right now as we unveil the password? So this is the password right here. Alright, so this is the password. It is ODAH, all in lowercase. ODAH. And that's the password. Download and have time to enjoy it. Other resource files like the editable 3D files will be added to the document for you to practice with. Once again, download and enjoy. Alright guys, so there we go. I hope you had the password, or you got the password to the free project file. If you didn't, then rewind, rewatch, and get the password. See you in another episode.